So welcome back guys to another video, and today I'm going to be tackling something I have not done on my channel in the past 7 years. Since I started this channel, I have not done a video like this, and that is talking about my top 10 favorite games of all time. Now I will have to say that this is the internet, this is my list, it's no definitive list, and you know, someone like me that's been gaming since they were like 5 years old and seeing the various generations, to narrow it down to just 10 games, it's a very daunting task, and that's the reason why I have not done the video until now. So let's get into it. Number 10 is going to be Animal Crossing New Leaf. Now, I played Animal Crossing, the original, on GameCube. It's probably one of my favorite games on that console, and I've just fell in love with the series. I love the premises of just the full customization of your town, catching fossils, fishing, interacting with your neighbors, and even, you know, on New Leaf and going on Wi-Fi and going to your friends' towns and seeing how they decide how they want to run their town. There's just something about this game that's oddly very addictive, and I will say, if you're on the fence on the Animal Crossing series, I cannot recommend New Leaf enough, because right now it's like the definitive way of playing the game. But they are releasing a new Animal Crossing on the Nintendo Switch, so we'll see. And number 9 is going to be a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now, I love Mario Kart. I've had Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U and absolutely love that one, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch is just a fantastic game. It's a fantastic multiplayer as well. It's something I really enjoy playing. It's something that me and my girlfriend, we could sit there and play for hours and upon hours. I cannot recommend this game enough. I feel like that if you have a Nintendo Switch, this is like essential. A lot of people talk about, you know, Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild, but you gotta have Mario Kart 8. And number 8 is going to be Toki. Now, Toki is one of my favorite arcade games of all time. I was first introduced to this game through Nick Arcade, if you guys remember that show. It was like a game show on Nickelodeon that really surrounded itself with video games. The kids would be behind a green screen and everything, but Toki was one of the games that they always played to get high scores, and something about platforming and arcade action, I just love it. It's a very challenging game. It's a one-hit kill. I remember getting it on the NES back when Farmore, if you guys remember that pharmacy, like supermarket kind of place. That place was open. They would start selling video games, and I remember buying my copy of Toki on the NES there and completely delighted to play some version of it. And even when I went to the Boys and Girls Club in summer, it was like a summer camp, they had 3 arcade cabinets, and one of them was Toki, and I absolutely love this game. And if you have not played it, I do recommend the remake that just came out for the Nintendo Switch a couple of months back. It's a full remake. It looks absolutely beautiful, plays exactly like Toki, just looks like hand-drawn sprites. It's freaking awesome. And number 7 is going to be Mega Man 2. I felt like this would not be my countdown if I did not include the Blue Bomber. Mega Man 2 is one of my favorite NES games of all time. I absolutely love the series since I was a young kid. I like the fact that I could just choose the boss I wanted to fight. It has that rock, paper, scissors formula that's been predominant for years. If it's not broke, why fix it? And it's got some great challenge. It's got some of my favorite music, like Dr. Wily's Castle is just iconic. This is a game that no matter how many times Capcom makes compilations, I end up owning some sort of copy of Mega Man 2. I cannot stress how much I love this game. And number 6 is going to be Yakuza 0, a series that my co-host had been telling me to play for years. And I remember I bought Yakuza for the PS2, played a little bit of it, it was fun, but Yakuza 0 is really the game that really got me into the whole series. It's become one of my favorite series of all time. And what I like about this game is it has such an in-depth story at the very beginning of Kiryu's saga and how he became the Dragon of Dojima. It's got such a great story, but also the side quest, the wackiness this game has. There's just so many things that you can do in this game. It's a solid beat 'em up. It's also got some solid RPG elements, but it's also a solid time waster as well. And I think that's something that's very special with video games. I would just lose hours playing, you know, Sega Classics and Club Sega and trying to get that freaking Opa Opa UFO toy. And number 5 is going to be Final Fantasy IX. Now, I am no stranger to the Final Fantasy series. There's so many great titles, but Final Fantasy IX just has a very special place in my heart, and I think it's because When I first got into RPGs, I was playing games like Dragon Warrior. I was really attracted to the medieval, Dungeons and Dragons kind of feel that RPGs had. And at some point, RPGs kind of went more into a sci-fi element, which it's okay, I'm not the biggest fan of, but Final Fantasy IX took that full circle. It was the return of crystals, it was the return of knights, it was the return of black mages. I love this game, and I actually just recently re-downloaded Final Fantasy IX on the Nintendo Switch, and full HD, and it's such a fantastic port. I feel like if you have not played Final Fantasy IX, you gotta get on it. And number 4 is going to be Street Fighter II. This is a game that's had such an impact on my childhood. This is my pure entry to the arcade scene at a very young age, the competitiveness I saw at the skating rinks, and a game that honestly I feel like anytime this game has been on any sort of console, I've owned a copy of it. I've had it on the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, the Game Boy, the PlayStation, the Sega Saturn. I've had so many ports of this game, and I feel like no matter what, I'm always going to re-buy Street Fighter II. It's just one of my favorite games. And number 3 is going to be Castlevania Rondo of Blood. I'm a huge Castlevania fan. I love, Symphony of the Night. I love the Metroidvanias, but I grew up playing the stage-based Castlevanias, and Rondo of Blood to me is just the best stage-based Castlevania. I know that's kind of controversial because a lot of people like Super Castlevania 4, but Rondo of Blood just has something special to it. I love the soundtrack. I love the character design. There was just something about this game that always allured me because I always heard about it because it was always in Japan for the longest time on the PC Engine. And when it finally came out for the PSP and the Wii Virtual Console, I played it and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's one of the reasons why Castlevania is one of my favorite series of all time. And my number 2 is going to be Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now hear me out. This isn't my favorite Zelda of all time, but this is my second favorite game of all time. And the reason why is because this game captivated the imagination that I had when I played the very first Legend of Zelda when I was a kid. A lot of us, when we talk about retro games, we talk about how the graphics kind of, gave us a visual, but at the same time we kind of had some imagination going on when we played the game, and that's what I was picturing in my head when I was playing the original Legend of Zelda. There's just something about this game that's just very, very special. The sense of exploration, the sense of like choosing your own adventure, your own path. There's no certain way you have to get through this game. There's an objective, but you can do it in your own way. And the fact that, there was just so much you could do, from collecting the seeds to going to the shrines to defeating the bosses, the story, the character development with Princess Zelda. This is just such an awesome game. And this is a game that I could just see years from now that's just an absolute masterpiece. And my number 1 favorite game of all time is Super Mario Bros. 3. Now, the reason why I chose this game is because it is my childhood. It's essentially of what made me who I am when it comes to video games. It was the packing game when I got my original Nintendo from my grandfather on Christmas back in, I believe, like 91, 92. I got my Nintendo, and I played it all the time. I talked about it all the time. I remember having a parent-teacher conference with my parents and my teacher because I wrote about Nintendo way too much, and they're like, he can't keep doing this. I'd be like, what's your favorite food? Oh, my favorite food's pizza. I like to eat pizza while I'm playing Super Mario Bros. 3. And this game is just a comfort food for me. This is a game that reminds me of my grandfather. I played every Thanksgiving because that was his holiday, and no matter what mood I'm in, I can play Super Mario Bros. 3 and just forget everything. And to me, that's the whole point of a fantastic video game. And that's why it's my number 1. Anyway, guys, that is my top 10 favorite games of all time. What are some of your top 10? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And as always, happy gaming.